Hello and welcome to Kaleidoscope with me, Savithri Rodrigo. I've always been fascinated with bonsai. Yes, that's the way it is pronounced. The word means tray planted in Japanese, and it's the art of training and growing trees in containers. The most expensive bonsai tree in the world is an 800-year-old pine and sold for $1.3 million in Japan.
Why travel when the power to perform transactions is at your fingertips? Enjoy a 10% cashback on all your utility bill payments with CDB iNet. Activate CDB iNet today. CDB, your friend.
And if you like our show today, don't forget to press the like sign when you watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. The winner of our Good Folks hamper will be revealed on Kaleidoscope today, plus some great chats with inspiring winners, leaders, and wave makers, and a roundup of the week that was. We'll be back with our Empower Capital Snapshot. We begin our Empower Capital Snapshot with the news that Sri Lanka recorded 4.3% growth in the first quarter of 2021, with the central bank predicting 5% growth for this year. Sri Lanka's imports soared to $1.6 billion in May, up 61.7%, widening the trade deficit for the third consecutive month. Sri Lanka's 52 state-owned business enterprises made a disappointing loss of 13.4 billion rupees from January to April this year. The Mathura District General Hospital was recently gifted a much-needed high-flow nasal cannula by Srilanka Life. Dilma is creating a nature corridor as a forest landscape restoration project with an estimated ecological wealth of $382,000. Anojitha Sivaskaran and Janit Prabhashwara Pereira were the recipients of the Diana Award 2021 for their work to build peace and create harmony among local communities. A 94-year-old mother of four passed the Tripitaka Buddhist and Pali examinations held in Kandy with flying colours. She now intends sitting for her masters. Coming up in the program is Commonwealth Short Story Prize winner Kanyad'almeida and illustrator Sam Veeravardhana. But right up next, Ceylon Chamber Chairman Vish Govindasamy and following up Asia Think Tank winner Satya Karunaratne.
When you lose faith in investing, somewhere in the financial ecosystem, a business loses its potential to grow or even survive. To endure these trying times, we see a broader perspective in investments. We see unconventional areas of investment that will regain your faith in investing. We see businesses that are already growing by taking on the challenges of the new normal. We translate decades of experience into strategies to empower you with innovative investment solutions. We are Empower Capital.
And welcome back to our Empower Capital News Capsule. The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce is one of the oldest chambers in the world, having been founded in 1839. The chamber has continuously maintained links between the government and the private sector, and here's the newly elected chairman, Vish Govindasamy, describing the chamber's ongoing journey.
As I assume the chairmanship of this respected, long-standing and highly influential Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, the chamber is called upon to be the clarion voice of the private sector, a voice which is non-partisan, a voice which is raised solely in the interest of Sri Lanka, a nation-first approach. I intend to continue this approach that has been followed by my predecessors. Sri Lanka needs sound policy at this crucial juncture of the pandemic and economic downturn. Chamber will closely work with the policymakers to assure that the private sector remains strong and continues to contribute to the revival of the economy.
Thus far in July, net foreign selling at the Colombo stock market was 3.46 billion rupees. By close of market on Thursday, the all-share price index was up by 1.5%, while the average daily turnover was at 1.92 billion rupees. WTI oil slipped slightly and was trading at $71.70 per barrel, down from the $75 per barrel highs which we witnessed recently. Gold prices seem to have stabilized and moved up slightly this week, with prices currently around $1,830 an ounce. The property rights of Sri Lankan women is not firmly established in the legal system, and this compromises their economic development. Advocata's research analyst Satya Karunaratne proposed expanding the work on economic freedom for women, specifically on property rights, to the Asia Liberty Forum, and won the coveted Asia Think Tank's Shark Tank competition. Here's Satya with her reasoning.
51.6% of Sri Lanka's population is female. We constitute the majority. However, much of our rights continue to be compromised. Due to this, the Advocata Institute is committed to improving female economic freedom in Sri Lanka. Securing property rights is a very important component of this. The Sri Lankan woman's right to property is compromised under the general law and the three customary laws. This has very dire consequences. A national survey done in the year 2002 finds that only 16% of privately owned land in the island belongs to women. No reason gender aggregated data on land ownership is really available to understand the extent of this problem. Ensuring property rights will secure many more rights for women, such as the ability to grow and sell crops, access agricultural services and assets, and access debt capital from formal financial institutions with lower interest rates. Property rights translate to economic empowerment and individual freedom. We wish to champion the cause by working to create much-needed gender-inclusive legal reforms. Thank you.
On a line suspended 600 meters above ground, 4 German tightrope walkers set a new world record, highlining a distance of 2.1 kilometers in an Arctic valley in Sweden, while battling very high winds. Definitely not for the faint-hearted.
World of risks and obstacles, we are there to help you reach your goals. With 12 billion rupees worth of customer benefits in 2020 and a life insurance fund worth over 100 billion rupees, our strength is your strength. You focus on your goals, we will take care of the risks. Srilanka Life.
My early memories of Chuti Baba are like incense smoke, curling and vanishing. For one thing, Laila Missy and Rani Mahathir didn't let me get too close to the child. I wasn't a proper nanny, but I wasn't one of the other servants either. I lived somewhere in the middle, half inside the big house and half in the back room quarters. And in each place, people kept their distance from me because of my buckets. Every day, I hauled the buckets of soiled nappies to an outdoor tap set in a small square of cement under a clove tree. Squatting on the ground, I washed those cloths by hand, carefully coaxing slime off pastel-colored bears and bunnies.
That was Kanyad'almeida reading an extract from I Cleaned the winning Commonwealth short story for 2021. It's a story that lays bare naked emotions and society's ills, the craziness of womanhood and the loveliness of life beyond, basically placing a stark light on waste and dirty work and how one grows to love it in all its hues and shapes. Kanya, who holds an MFA in fiction from Columbia University, is the first Sri Lankan to win the overall Commonwealth Short Story Prize, known as the world's most global literature prize. Today, it is truly a pleasure to have Kanyad'almeida on Kaleidoscope's Srilanka Life. Let's talk. Kanya, congratulations and well done. I'm sure it's been quite exhilarating. How did you feel when you heard you had won the award?
I mean, I've been in disbelief about the whole thing since the shortlist, to be honest. So I'm always wondering, did they make a mistake? Are you sure? Do you know that you're talking to me, Kanya? You know, it's that kind of thing that it has been such a dream to even be shortlisted for this prize that I'm just always a little bit shocked. And now that I'm settling into it a little bit more, it's just been fantastic.
So your story has 3 types of women as the protagonists primarily, but there are other women thrown in like the Carmelite nuns and the tea pluckers. What is it about these women that inspired you to write the story?
I'm very interested in women's stories, especially the ones that don't really get told. You know, the kinds of secrets that women carry around, and also the women whose lives aren't really celebrated. You know, we have all these monuments all over the country to men. And there are so many women whose kinds of quiet acts of courage or defiance or resilience just get overlooked. So I've been starting to feel more and more like my life's work is to kind of find and tell those stories.
So you touch again on a number of topics in your short stories, some blatantly obvious about like the thanklessness of paid labor and the way disabled persons are treated, whether rich or poor, and some subtle like the strong woman that Rita is and the disparities between rich and poor, for instance. What was most difficult for you when actually putting these issues together on paper?
Yeah, the most difficult part actually was writing about a very debilitated child, right? So I had quite a traumatic birth experience, and I was very, very worried that this has caused some kind of lasting damage to my son. So every time I sat down to write that particular scene about the child being taken to the neonatal intensive care and the parents finding out that their child was paralyzed for life, I would, like, my hand would actually be shaking as I was trying to write that, or I would feel very nauseous. And I think in some ways the character of Laila Missy, who is, the mother who pretty much abandons her daughter, I think she kind of represented my darkest fears about myself, because I, was wondering, if I'm put to this test, will I have the strength to bear it, or will I, be the kind of woman who turns and runs away?
Your podcast, The Darkest Light, explores birth and motherhood in Sri Lanka. But tell me more, what have you found in these explorations?
I've been talking now to mothers for the past 2 years. I think I would have spoken to close to 100 people would have shared their stories with me, their birth stories. And what I've basically found is a very disturbing pattern across the country of traumatic births and what I call obstetric violence. It's a term that is used to describe ill treatment of women during labor and delivery. And barely any of the women I spoke to said that they had felt empowered, well treated at their births. And Sri Lanka has a fantastic maternity healthcare system in terms of statistics, but in terms of how women leave that experience, how they're left feeling, is almost universally negative. And this is public and private hospitals. These are women of means as well as poor women, Colombo and outside Colombo. It's very universal. So I really feel it's time that we address this as a nation, because I've been very shocked by what I found.
You are now writing a book of short stories about mad women. Why mad women?
There are a lot of mad women in my own family. I think most of the women in my family are proudly mad. And my father's sisters especially, who are all women I really look up to, they love to throw that expression around. They're like, I'm mad, no darling, I'm mad. This is why I do this. So I've always kind of seen that mad woman term as a badge of honor, absolutely. So, but at the same time, I know that, this word madness, especially with women, has been used to kind of curtail women and punish women and criminalize them, institutionalize them when they speak out or act out against patriarchy. So I'm very interested in exploring kind of how certain characters can reclaim this madness and use it as a form of power or a form of pleasure. That's the exploration that I'm interested in.
With a toddler at hand, a novel and a book of short stories in the works, Kanya certainly has her hands full. But the results of those works, I'm sure, will be as gripping as I Cleaned the Commonwealth Short Story Prize for 2021. Thank you, Kanya, for sharing your inspirations and also your stories on Selico Life. Let's talk.
Why travel when the power to perform transactions is at your fingertips? Enjoy a 10% cashback on all your utility bill payments with CDB iNet. Activate CDB iNet today. CDB, your friend.
We've been talking bonsai today. The origins are actually Chinese, practiced by scholars, monks, and nobility as far back as 600 AD, and came to Japan with Zen Buddhism. And the smallest bonsai trees in the world can fit in the palm of your hand. And while celebrating amazing artistry in the world of plants, here's a young lady who is inspired by weird, arty things. When Samantha Veeravardhana was a toddler, she drew a whale on a wall. Then graduated to doodling on paper and now holds a bachelor's in graphic design. Her design work is on various platforms including storybooks, and she loves teaching and recently did a stint through the Jeffrey Bawa Trust. And her favorite subjects, plants and dogs. Her muse is her doggie Twinkie, who in fact likes reggae. Here's how Sam puts pen to paper.
My style of art is very kind of comic-y. because I used to read the Beano a lot as a kid. So that style really influenced me a lot. Disney's 2D animations, stuff like Bambi or The Lion King, like how beautiful the scenery looked, but also there was a lot of personality in the characters. Like they had these big expressive eyes. That's, I think, kind of filtered into my style today. My dogs inspire me a lot. I have 2 dogs, and they both have 2 really distinct personalities. I felt like it might be nice to show people what they were really like, even if it's just through comic form. But then I did this short comic of how to help your dogs through really loud fireworks. So we tried out these different things and realized that there were some things that really helped. So I made a short comic out of that and posted it up, and it actually helped some people. It was really nice to be able to help people through my comics. I've had the opportunity to work with a couple of writers already on a couple of children's books, and I hope to kind of expand on that. So yeah, I hope the future holds more of that.
So next time your doggy is afraid of loud sounds, put on some reggae. At least that's what Sam has found out while putting her pets to paper. Thank you, Sam, for sharing your happy skills with us on Life in 60. And now, time to find out the winner of the 5,000 rupee hamper from Good Folks. Congratulations, Zara Buhari. Enjoy the goodies. If you like what we shared with you on Kaleidoscope today, don't forget to press the like sign on YouTube. Also, if you haven't already done so, do subscribe to Kaleidoscope with Savithri Rodrigo on YouTube, plus follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Sri Lanka has opened up, but don't take it easy. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and stay optimistic. Now, here's our Kaleidoscope takeaway. Some people could look at a mud puddle and see an ocean with ships. Zora Neale Hurston.